The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign, trusted by over 500 NFL players for their winning smiles. And broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now, your host, Nicole Hutchison.
Wake up, Cowboys Nation. Welcome in to Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign in the SWBC studio. Nicole Hutchison, Christy Scales, Aisha Morrison. It's been a minute, but we are back in the studio. Ladies, how y'all doing before we get into Christian Parker talk? Because we got a lot to talk about. How y'all doing?
Yeah, it's a lot of cool things to talk about. I'm excited about today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Straight into it, Christian. Christian Parker, we got a chance to finally hear from him for the first time in his introductory press conference yesterday, and so many good things to touch on, talking about the scheme versatility to building his scheme around his players and different things like that. But I want to just get y'all's first impressions of him. What stood out to you ladies about him, his tone, his messaging in that press conference yesterday?
Serious-minded. Mm-hmm. Too bad that winning press conferences doesn't count in the standings. I think he won the press conference and impressed a lot of people. It was the first time that he spoke with Dallas media or even those watching on DallasCowboys.com or hearing a lot of the sound bites, the first time that Cowboys Nation was really exposed to him. And I think he made a more than favorable impression. I think he brings a lot of hope. Now, you've got to address the personnel and give him the right people to work with. But, I love what I see so far.
Yeah, he seems there's a sense of urgency to him. I think he understands the moment, how much this team, specifically that side of the ball, has to improve. He seems very devoted. Mm-hmm. His presence, I thought, was commanding.
Yes.
And I think he has a plan.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, Christy. We got to see this put onto the field, and the team has to provide the guys for him to do what he needs to do. However, when you look back at the way that Brian Schottenheimer built up the offensive side of the ball, we see a lot of similarities in how they have attacked it, in bringing in some younger coaches and bringing in some guys, and just how thorough the process has been. So for me, his presence and just listening to him talk about the game, it is very similar to me. The feeling I had was kind of like watching Brian Schottenheimer last year, and that he was confident, he had a plan. So we'll see it play out, but it feels like a good start.
Yeah.
I love the intelligence, too.
Serious-minded.
Serious-minded. I think that's the perfect word to use, because I called Aisha after the press conference.
She sure did.
And I was like, it wasn't like a bad thing that where he seemed like he was ready to just get to work. It was more of like, I know we got to do this press conference, but I really got film to go watch.
He wasn't here to play. They were trying to, and obviously, you want to lighten the mood and everything. But
absolutely,
like I said, he understands the responsibility. Mm-hmm. I think, and more so, he understands that Dallas is entrusting him, and that he is a different than what they have hired before. So as young as he is, obviously I know that they've had other African American coaches before, but this is a young African American coach coming in. I think that matters, and it is different. So I know that he understands that there's going to be a light shown on him very heavily, and I just don't think he's afraid of the moment.
No.
He doesn't seem afraid of the moment at all.
He strikes me as an old soul. Do you
Very
know what I
much
mean
so.
by old soul? And then anytime you use Marcus Aurelius and Seneca and Stoicism in a press conference, I was like, yes,
I know.
I love this dude. So, but to your point of being like a role model.
Yes, ma'am.
Spoke with someone very senior with the Cowboys after the press conference, not a Jones family member, but someone very high up in the organization who has a younger teenage son, younger side of being a teenager who loves sports, really bright kid. And this Cowboy official had listened to the press conference and was so excited because it's like, this guy shows that you can love sports and it's cool to be smart and talk about things other than sports.
Yeah.
He's quoting philosophers.
Bro, the book The Art of War?
Yeah.
Never heard of it. Had to go look at Wiki.
I've seen people like read it.
But stoicism.
Yeah.
And I mean that's a whole and that's it sounds formidable, but really all that is accepting what you have and not being bothered by things you can't control.
Yeah.
So it's all of these things that are talked about, right, in coaching or in life or life coaching, as it were. But something that he studied. You don't get too many poli-sci grads necessarily.
Speaking your language, huh?
Yeah.
Christy?
Well, yeah, I didn't. Well, I didn't major, but I have a double minor, and I interned in Washington D.C. So I love that kind of stuff. So
that girl.
anyway,
Clock it. I wanted to touch on what Shotty had mentioned on the process of hiring Christian, because it was great.
I loved it.
He said, when you look at what we did last year, we went through a process. But he said that he was the last Zoom that they did. They went through 40 interviews with candidates, and it led them wanting more and more after each time they talked to Christian Parker. Have y'all ever heard a head coach say something like that when they hire DC? Because we didn't.
No, not to be that outward with it. And what did he say? It was the 9th Zoom call, 9th and final, or 8th or 9th final Zoom call after a long day.
And he said his name has been circled
Yes.
for a while. He's been hearing things about this gentleman for some time. And I mean, seeing him in that press conference yesterday, they vibe. They vibe. It seems like their energy matches.
Y'all saw the picture I took of them?
Yes, it was cute.
That's great.
That was yours. The one that everybody was supposed to. Oh, it was so cute. It's like, look at it in their
Post
friends.
it on Twitter.
But it sounds like a small thing, but it's not. It's not a small thing that, hopefully there's not a difference. There's a togetherness. And that's something that we've heard about through the process as well, is that alignment is the word that they've been using, is alignment, because this is a machine. Football is a machine. And so I think getting the defensive coordinator in here and them fitting what you want to do offensively, them being able to work off of each other is important. So I think those guys being connected and seeming like they're having a good time, it should help the rest of the team, kind of feel comfortable with them as well.
Right now, this was kind of big picture talk, but I want to dive into what Christian Parker actually said yesterday about, the whole scheme that he looks forward to do, and which way he kind of pulled from the coaches that he learned from. Let's hear what he had to say real fast.
A lot of them have a lot of similarities but differences. I think foundationally, Vic Vance, Mike Pettin, Coach Elko, Gerald Evero all came out of a 3-4 structure. I think that once you get past that, from the fronts you build and the coverages you do and the personality on third down, red zone, you definitely have a mentality as a play caller, but I think that it's still going to be designed around the players that you have. So there's different nuances that I've taken from each one of them. And even people outside of that, as I've had extensive studies and you build relationships outside of the circle you've been in that you want to incorporate with what you want to do.
Yeah, so he wants to be a 3-4 by nature, but there's 4-3 spacing you can do, 4-2-5 nickel spacing you can do. But hearing that from him, what does that say? How much are you looking forward to that? I know you're just over here like, wow, I've been waiting for this.
No, I mean, what I took from everything that he said is that they, that's what Shotty said when he came in. He said, we want to be multiple. Then we're talking about a mirror, right? We're talking about different fronts. We're talking about really stressing offensive lines. It really making, I think he used the word present. You present different looks, doing things post-snap. He did mention, the most effective thing is that he wants to stop the run. And that's going to affect, and he said, I guess, I don't know, Christy, did that stand out to you? I have never heard anyone say, and that's probably just me, talk about how the run is affecting the quarterback. Stopping the run affects the quarterback.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, yes, we know that by nature. It puts
all the pressure on the
quarterback.
quarterback.
We know that by nature.
Yeah,
but to
what's
hear
a
him
quarterback's
say that,
best friend? To be able to hand the ball off and have it second and short or third and short. Listen, it's nothing new to say the number one thing is to stop the run. I mean, that is from kingdom come. But the ability to actually do it is a different thing. So, and to your point, just more specifically, as he went on, and I'm sorry,
you're
might
fine,
be
girl.
jumping ahead because you're probably going to say the next thing is he talked about winning first down.
Yep.
Because that's the whole point. It puts you in second and long and third and long. And then basically the defense has the advantage because then, proverbial put them in down and distance where they have to pass the ball, then your pass rushers can pin their ears back, so to speak. So this is nothing new.
Nothing new.
But the approach in terms of being open-minded and multiple is something that I think you like to hear.
Oh, yeah, the versatility. I mean, we're getting to this point. Our offensive coordinators are too good. I mean, he's coaching up against one of the best wasn't one of the best in the league. So he knows that. And you have to be able to show some of these quarterbacks are too smart. You have to be able to show different looks. Now, what I'm expecting from this defense is to be powerful in the middle and have speed on the outside. Also, too, I expect for there to be layers in how they fill their gaps, right? So it's going to be very assignment based, but guys aren't going to be able to miss their assignments in this. You can't do that anyway. I think in some schemes you can get away with it, but the way that he's trying to marry the secondary to the second level, to the first level, there has to be unison and there has to be good communication. So I think it's also, too, that's going to help your run stopping ability is the way that he's considering with the odd fronts and stuff. He wants to stagger and layer those, that protection. So if a guy gets through, there's always another guy there to kind of come clean up. And that's also, too, as we get into it, I mean, he talked about the importance of the nickel.
Hello.
And that don't have to be. Talk about it, girl.
Talk
Good. Talk about it.
No, but it was just because we've been talking about this, not just last year. We talked about it the year before when Jordan Lewis was here. But yeah, no, he talked about the importance of the nickel position because you got to be able to have really great instincts. You got to be able to be a corner. You got to be able to play inside. You got to be able to come up in the box and help, in the run game. You got to be able to do a lot of different things. And right now, the Cowboys don't necessarily have that.
Anyway, it provides the versatility that we talk about. I mean, the nickel position, and again, to me, I think about less of like a Jordan Lewis, even so, he's not, I don't think that the nickel just means corner. I think that we might be going back to...
Remember how they use curse.
I was about to say, I think that we might start tapping into how important is safety going to be in this, and I think it's going to be very intricate moving forward. So what's the expectation? Is Dallas going to be aggressive in free agency? The safety class and the draft is very heavy. Whoever the nickel is, the responsibility is going to be great. And I like that. And I think that it's meant to be that way. I believe that the nickel position in general is becoming a premier position in the NFL. I think it has been that way for the last couple of years, but people are starting to, guys like Christian Parker are putting a voice to it and saying, this is something you need on a team to have a good defense. You need a guy that can kind of be, I remember Jordan Lewis explaining it to me, is you marry the second level, well, the lower third of the field to the first. Like, you really marry with communication. And he talked about it, like, this is a guy that's going to have to be able to come in the slot and cover, going to have to come set the edge, going to have to come down and tackle.
Yeah.
That feel like we got to go find somebody.
Yeah.
Well, because the player that you had playing the nickel last year when he wasn't hurt is a player who prefers to be on the outside.
Which is
on Bland. And that is
go.
not a knock on Bland at all. I mean, we all have strengths, and I mean, wouldn't you rather have Bland on the outside?
I think that's what it's gonna
but
go.
Because Jordan Lewis had gotten away, and good for Jordan Lewis. The Cowboys basically couldn't afford to match what Lewis got from Jacksonville, so good for him. But yeah, that was a domino effect that really was felt throughout the entire season.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Christian Parker's words on the nickel position, very important. That guy, he's a corner sometimes. He's a safety, to Aisha's point. He's a backer sometimes. Your defensive end, when he's blitzing, you want to have a guy who has natural instincts and ability to feel the game and play football. So, a lot of good things from Christian Parker yesterday. We're going to keep diving into Christian Parker's press conference throughout the next couple of segments. But up next, we're going to have a soundbite, but you got to stay tuned because you got to figure out what it is. It's really good. It's about the personnel that he plans to kind of merge in with his scheme. So we'll be right back with more Girls Talk, Boys Talk presented by Invisalign.
When you're on the field, you know what it takes to lead your team and play with confidence. But that confidence shouldn't just stop at game time. It should follow you off the field, too. Join over 500 NFL players who trust Invisalign, the #1 doctor-recommended clear aligner brand. Ready to take the first step towards a smile you'll love? Visit Invisalign.com/NFL and find a doctor near you today. Transform your smile and take your confidence to the next level, both on the field and off.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
How does the cheerleader's hair always look so perfect? We asked, and they shared one of their biggest beauty secrets. If you want hair like theirs and confidence to match, use Babyliss Pro styling tools. The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders use Babyliss Pro curling irons to get those perfect game day curls. To get the hair you see on the cheerleaders, head to BabylissPro.com. Use the code Cowboys20 for 20% off Babyliss Pro tools, the official styling tools of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Get the discount while it lasts. Offer may be withdrawn at any time at advertiser's discretion.
All right, Cowboys fans, this one's for us. If the men in your life bleed blue and silver like we do, I've found the perfect way to elevate their game day rituals. Gillette just released their best razor in Cowboys colors, and it is everything a Cowboys fan could want. The new Gillette Labs official Dallas Cowboys licensed razor combines his Cowboys pride with Gillette's best shave. And with 50% longer lasting blades, it is truly the gift that keeps on giving. Get it while you can at Gillette.com/NFL. Gillette's best shave is also available as heated.
Back to Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign.
Get excited for the most dazzling DCC experience. Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders Live is coming to a theater near you. Witness iconic group and solo performances, enjoy an onstage Q&A session with Kelly and Judy, and even be part of a live audition. For dates and tickets, visit DallasCowboysCheerleaders.com/tour.
Welcome back into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign in the SWBC studio. Nicole Hutchison, Christy Scales, Aisha Morrison. And before we get to that soundbite, do y'all have a favorite quote from yesterday?
Oh, yeah. You mean besides the Marcus Aurelius and all that?
Yeah.
I do. And I put little stars by it in my notebook. Sometimes players have to touch the stove. But you want it to be in a controlled environment. Mm-hmm. Isn't that like parenting?
Yeah.
Right? Like you need people to learn lessons, but in a controlled environment, meaning in practice or joint practices or preseason and things like that. So sometimes players have to touch the stove, but you want it to be in a controlled environment. So, especially if you are introducing some things that haven't been done for the guys who've been here more than a couple years, if you are doing more of a 3-4, kind of what they did when they were playing some 5-man fronts last year after the arrival of Quinnen Williams and the like. So, but those mistakes, just one step or, one hesitation in an NFL game and an experienced quarterback or, they a really good wide receiver, they can make you pay for it. Mm-hmm. And so that one really stood out to me. Sometimes players have to touch the stove.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was, to put more context into that, it was the question asked, I believe it was John Machota's question, about what it means to be a good teacher to him. And he was just talking about, pretty much getting players more involved and helping them understand, to Christy's point, about the scheme change, doing Kahoot quizzes, physical quizzes, helping them, or maybe having them teach, in front of the room, but keeping it in a controlled environment. So I did think that was good. Probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, letting them make mistakes.
Yeah, in private.
Yeah. Making sure that connection is kept between them and that's important. I mean, I've heard a coach mention, as I'm in scouting school, talk about, correcting players, how careful you have to be, especially like in game and things like that. Sometimes they're going to make mistakes in game, but you got to know when to attack certain things. And so I agree. I thought that was key too. And it reminded me of a parent as well. My favorite quote was, you build it around players in regard to the scheme. Mm-hmm. You build it around players. You have your core foundation of beliefs, but you want to build a package that has versatility and scheme, but you want to highlight it around their strengths. I mean, that's kind of what we've been saying and what we've been asking for a while. And what we think should be happening, and just the fact that he understands that, and he wants to build around like the guys that they bring in and play to their strengths. I mean, it sounds like a small thing, but that's something that you've been needing here in Dallas for a while.
Yeah, you want to know mine?
Yeah, what was it?
If we have good man corners, we will play man.
Mm-hmm. Talk about it.
If we have guys better with vision, we will play zone. But no matter what, you want to have guys that no matter what scheme they're in, they can be contributors. It ties into everything that y'all ladies already mentioned. But we want to hear more from Christian Parker. Nick Harris asked a phenomenal question, basically asking if, it's important to, if it's important to, merge his scheme with his players or build his scheme around his players. And let's hear what he had to say.
I think you build it around the players. Of course, you want to have your core principles and foundational beliefs, but as you kind of move forward in the process, what do your guys do well? How can you put good players in highlighted positions? How can you create one-on-ones for certain guys? How you can protect certain guys? If we can win on blitzes on a running back, then we're going to blitz a lot. If we got good man-to-man corners, we're going to play man. If we have guys that are better with zone vision, we're going to play more zone. So, you want to build a package that has diversity and scheme, and then you want to, tailor it to the players that you have. And, of course, there are schematic fits, but I think the really good players are the ones that you can't peg them in a certain scheme, and that's the only way they can play football. You want to have guys that no matter what scheme they're in, they can be significant contributors, and then you want to just highlight it around their strengths.
Yeah, so basically, both of our quotes together, that's hilarious.
DeMarvion Overshone's going, yes.
Finally.
There's a lot. Yeah, speaking of, can I ask a question to you ladies?
Yeah.
Who's that? I know we had to play him.
Girl, ask the question.
Who's a gentleman, or even, who's a guy on this team that you think could benefit from a gentleman like Christian Parker becoming their coach? I mean, you already mentioned Overshown. Overshown is your guy.
Yeah. I would say all the younger guys. He mentioned Savone Revel yesterday because he has done a thorough, I'll say looking into his, his personnel. But I would say, a Savone Revel, because granted, he was thrown into the fire last year, didn't really have time to develop or really learn the scheme at that time that they were trying to do. But now, of course, you get a whole new scheme your second year in the NFL, and you need someone like a Christian Parker who's young, who's willing to teach, and who wants to teach you the certain things that you have to learn. So I would go with the Savone Revel. Granted, he is a defensive back, but I mean, honestly, everybody.
No, heck yeah. I mean, I thought him mentioning him and talking about him, and it's important. It's important that he knows some of these players because he studied them, because he probably was a part of some of the scouting process. I mean, don't get it twisted. Savone Revel went later because of his injury, but this was one of the best, if not the best, corner in that class before that. So, I mean, I'm sure that he had information on him, but I think the fact that he's coming in here and is aware of the roster, kind of, on that side of the ball, knows some of those guys already, is a benefit to them. The gentleman that I think about is Maris Leafau.
Oh my gosh, I was just going to say, I think that
Maris Leafau, I think in this scheme,
it's going to be fun to watch at camp.
I think what he brings to the table, that fire, that that blitz ability, I think they'll be able to use him in some ways coming off the edge. He was somebody that his first year, he did a lot of dirty work. He didn't get no real shining moments because he was doing a lot of the dirty work for the other guys, but I do believe that maybe we'll be able to see him shine in this system and get this young linebacker core together so they can grow. So that's kind of how I feel. Maris Leafau's my guy.
I can see him as kind of a Swiss Army knife kind of guy. Definitely. That can be put in different situations, kind of more of a situational player to. And the other thing is just showing it a little bit means that your opponent has to prepare for it and devote practice time to it and things like that. So when you're talking about the versatility or being multiple in your scheme and things like that, when you have the players like the Demos and the Leafaus who can be very versatile and just show it, just make the opponent respect it and have to prepare for it.
Yeah, when you talk about well, let's stick with the linebacker room. In terms of being multiple, that's something that he wants to implement here. Who has shown you that they can be in a multiple sort of scheme so far? Who is giving you that
it'd
most?
be overshown if he could stay healthy.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it would be DeMarvion overshown. I mean, obviously Shamar James is here. We'll see what happens with him. We talked about Maris Leofau. Obviously, I knew when Dallas brought in the outside linebacker coach from Georgia, I knew that was kind of trending in the direction of being more of a 3-4 or just, he mentioned the 4-3 spacing and all those things. I expected for them to kind of switch it up. So I think that Maris Leofau might benefit more from being outside linebacker a little bit more in this system. But we haven't gotten to see, if I'm being real with you, you haven't gotten to see these guys really be, overshown his versatility. We know about it because of his college time and some of the stuff he's done. But the other guys, they just babies. They still have so much, this is a lot of opportunity for them. It will be a lot of opportunity for them in this scheme because he wants it to be multiple. He wants offenses to be stressed and to not know what's going to happen next. And I think the best way to do that is to have, a core group of guys that do certain things, and then every now and then you throw a monkey wrench in there that teams aren't expecting. I think that that's kind of what he wants to do. I want a coach that wants to play the matchup game. I want a coach that wants to compete every time they touch the field. It's a competition with those clipboard warriors too. And I think that you're getting a guy that gives you an edge when it comes to game planning and going into a game, and also to development. That's a word that we heard yesterday that I think the NFL is lacking. Development. Of these players, development of the coaches as well. And it sounds like they want to build a program, and Shotty talked about this. Yeah. They want to build a program where the coaches, if a coach goes somewhere else, the next coach that's in line can step up, and there isn't a huge break in philosophy, understanding, communication. And I think, obviously, on that side of the ball, that's something we haven't seen in a while. Brian Schottenheimer talked about yesterday that's something that they're building on the offensive side. On the defensive side, that would be very nice to have, a continuous philosophy or temperament or a scheme in general that can continue even if guys leave, because inevitably they're going to.
Sure.
If they're good.
You hope that they do. You hope to have Seattle's problem. Yeah. That your coaches are getting plucked away because of your success. That's what happened to the Cowboys in the early and mid-'90s. Dave Wannstedt, Butch Davis, Dave Wannstedt, all these guys get plucked away and off of Jimmy's staff because of all the success they were having. And, those guys were getting head coaching jobs elsewhere. So it's a good problem to have.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take our second break here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign. We'll be right back.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
When you're on the field, you know what it takes to lead your team and play with confidence. But that confidence shouldn't just stop at game time. It should follow you off the field, too. Join over 500 NFL players who trust Invisalign, the #1 doctor-recommended clear aligner brand. Ready to take the first step towards a smile you'll love? Visit Invisalign.com/NFL and find a doctor near you today. Transform your smile and take your confidence to the next level, both on the field and off.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
How does the cheerleader's hair always look so perfect? We asked, and they shared one of their biggest beauty secrets. If you want hair like theirs and confidence to match, use Babyliss Pro styling tools. The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders use Babyliss Pro curling irons to get those perfect game day curls. To get the hair you see on the cheerleaders, head to BabylissPro.com. Use the code Cowboys20 for 20% off Babyliss Pro tools, the official styling tools of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Get the discount while it lasts. Offer may be withdrawn at any time at advertiser's discretion.
Back to Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign.
Cowboys Nation, Dallas Cowboys United, presented by Globe Life, is exclusively in the Dallas Cowboys app. Join the official fan club today to receive access to Cowboys Drops, where you can win game tickets, autographed items, exclusive experiences, and more. Download the app now to join.
Welcome back into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign. Nicole Hutchison. Dang, I was about to say Brianna Aldridge. Got sad a little bit.
Oh,
we love you, girl.
girl.
All right, Christy Scales and Aisha Morrison. I know we were talking during the break about, Christian Parker, his roots, where he came from, and, of course, HBCU gang, Howard alum. He came from Virginia State. That was one of his touching points on yesterday's press conference, and just kind of thanking the opportunity he had there because he was allowed to make mistakes. The light wasn't as bright going to an HBCU or coaching at an HBCU for him. So it kind of pointed towards his thing of like, I'm ready. Like, I've already made my mistakes. I'm good to go. But talk about, I know we mentioned who benefits from a hire like Christian Parker, but, to Aisha's point, who may not benefit from the scheme that he is trying to implement here?
Oh.
All right. Please.
Can't be any worse than last year. So, who doesn't benefit?
Yeah, who doesn't benefit?
Who doesn't fit?
Who doesn't fit?
I don't know. Would it affect maybe your defensive ends more if you play more 3-4, then that'd be more like an outside linebacker and the ability to, play with a hand in the ground. If you've only played pass rush with your hand in the ground.
And having to stand up.
I mean, it'd just be learning new techniques.
Yeah.
And things like that.
Leverage.
But it could benefit you as well. So, double-edged sword, right? I think it has to do with your willingness to adapt, the teaching ability of the not just Christian Parker, but specifically the position group coaches. But isn't that the whole selling point of what they're bringing in is guys who are teachers and guys who can relate to these young athletes because they're coming from college ranks and younger themselves and things like that. So, what it doesn't benefit is some of the, veterans who sometimes it's great to be a veteran because you get the benefit of the doubt. But when a whole new staff is coming in and you lose your position coaches and you don't have that familiarity and you're having to learn everything new. So that's who's, I think that's, who should be, I don't know if concern is the right word, but it's going to be more difficult.
That's fair.
I think some of the down the roster guys, I think you mentioned safety. I think about somebody like Awani Thomas, who, again, was trying to bounce back last year, was dealing with, very painful migraines and the issues that caused him. I think about someone like a Marquise Bell. Is he going to fit? Now, he possibly could fit with his experience at the nickel.
See, I see him benefiting.
I feel like he might benefit from being a guy, especially with his time at linebacker, having a backup guy to be able to do that.
He's a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. I also think about a guy like I'm on the fence about like a Malik Hooker, who I think has the intelligence to do this, but does he have the range still? Does he have the body to? And we saw him, like, he'll come down and tackle and things, but he's fought through injury. Almost every year he's been here. He's been banged up.
But you also need a wily guy back there who can communicate.
Yeah. So I'm on the fence on, like, to your point, new regime, new coaches, might want to, clearly not afraid to go young. We saw that when he was with Philly. Not afraid to take risk and get a young guy. But also, too, Malik Hooker, you know, I don't know if you can just start from scratch when it comes to that spot. And I will say that even on tape last year, I mean, I think there were quite a few times where he was very frustrated. He was visibly frustrated. I think he understood some of the, obviously he was under Eberflus before, so he understood some of what they were needing to do. I'm just wondering, I think anybody that can't tackle in space ain't gonna benefit.
Facts.
He gonna tell you to sit your ass down. I mean, he referenced also too, like, if I'm not mistaken, he referenced the pickup game. You want the best guy out there. Like, when you go, I don't know if you
on a Saturday
playing for, like, yeah, you want the best guy out there. So I think this is also going to be, as we saw on the offensive side, a real competition when it comes to who's going to touch the field and who's not. Who else doesn't benefit? I think about somebody like maybe like a Sam Williams that was trying to find his way back to Dallas after, you know, his rookie contract ending this year. Is he going to be able to fit into what they want to do?
He's a phenomenal athlete, though.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying with someone who's...
It's a great...
That's who I was referencing, basically, with defensive end that's played with his hand in the ground and not had to, you know, you don't see him dropping back into coverage a lot and zone blitzes and things like that. And you know, just in terms of playing in space more.
It's going to be...
kind of
it's going to be a change for these guys. Lining up really wide as well, you know, like, I don't know. I think also Diggy Zoo is someone that I'm keeping my eye on as well. It's like his usage and what they decide to do with him. He's, you know, obviously he's a guy that's going to get pressures and affect the quarterback and be disruptive. But if they're going to be asking these guys to just be sound and hold steady, how does his role change? I mean, what is he going to be doing? I think somebody like a Perion Winfrey that we didn't get to see last year would be awesome in a scheme like this.
He's when he'll benefit.
See how he'll benefit. See how he works his way up into the ranks or to the conversation. Caitlin Carson is a guy that I think is going to get some phenomenal coaching. And maybe they can bring out that guy that we saw in college that ain't afraid to tackle, because, again, he struggled in tackling this past year, and that is something that I just think that from the secondary position, you're going to have to be able to do.
If you had to put a timeline, ladies, on, let's say, progress, because Brad Sham asked a good question about, can you be dominant from the start of the season, or does that happen over time? If y'all had to put a time on, you know, the progress that this defense could make, what would it be?
Let's see what happens in free agency in the draft before we. You've got to give them versatile players, and, you know, I mean,
you got to give them personnel.
It's gonna, if it's the same personnel as, like,
I think they're gonna get after it. I think they're gonna get after it
in terms of addressing the defensive side of the ball. There's no question about it.
I think that they have listen to them, like, the investment that they're making in this coach and this staff, the time, the energy. It would be hard for me to believe that they're not understanding that the coaches that are coming in here, specifically Parker, are going to need certain type of guys to fulfill. They love all these things about them. Oh my God, you're so awesome. Oh my God, your scheme sounds so great. They know damn well that they cannot just roll out the same guys. Like, and I just don't think, I really think Dallas is going to be a little bit more aggressive. I do. And then obviously these first 2 draft picks are going to be huge. It's going to be kind of hard to mess it up, to be honest. There should be guys there. So I think they're going to be aggressive.
Gosh, don't jinx it, Aisha.
I can see them. I can see them even trading up if they need to get a guy. No, I'm not.
Put the mojo back.
I'm not scared. I'm not as afraid. You don't invest this much time into this process. 40 guys.
That's fair.
Yeah. What? Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't do that if you're not going to go get the. And if I'm not mistaken, like, last year, that was something that Brian Schottenheimer said, you know, through the grapevine. Hey, if I'm signing on here, I need a wide receiver too. And guess what Dallas Wynn did?
Hello.
So I'm like, all right, we don't want them to not be proactive about it like they did going and getting Quinn Williams and stuff in the middle of the season. However, let's see if they learn their lesson and get this guy, you know, taken care of. I'm not scared.
Yeah.
I have some weird faith. It's weird. It's weird having faith, but I have some weird faith in them. Do you have any?
I think I'm tempering my expectations.
Dude, I'm not. I mean, you can temper them, but, like, what do you?
They got to give him the personnel first. Once I see the personnel align with what he wants to do, then I will get back on that boat.
Imagine them bringing.
I love what he's saying. I love hearing the scheme. I love hearing, he sounds like a great fit here. And I can't wait what he, does here. But, like, you got to give him the personnel to be able to do what he wants to do.
But imagine them doing all this and then not doing that. What are we, like?
We're not going to act like that's going to happen.
People going to riot. These coaches that they just hired might riot because some of them edgy.
Facts.
Some of them edgy. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of them don't play.
Yeah, the good news is there's nowhere to go but up. So
pray, Saints.
Yeah.
Dang, you said it, not me.
Y'all really don't.
I'm statistically.
I mean, I know, like, we're normally nervous about free agents.
That's not a shot. That's a fact.
That's facts.
I know we're normally nervous about it.
But one.
That's fair.
It's normal to be nervous about it, but I just don't feel as nervous as I normally do.
Yeah.
It is. This is. I think Cowboys Nation should feel good moving forward.
At the very least,
yes.
Good. Just let yourself feel good. You ain't gotta feel great.
Yeah.
Like Frosted Flakes.
Please. Yeah, he did say yesterday, somebody asked about, are you pushing for, defensive picks at 12 and 20? And he was like...
You know it. They double dipped in that draft. They double dipped in that draft. I mean, and this class from a corner, safety position, linebacker, defensive end. I mean, there's a lot there, especially in the first, second, and third round. Obviously, Dallas has 2 guys. We'll see what they do. Go ahead.
I would just remind people that it's like, take one and trade down and get your second round pick. Just remember that if you take someone in the first round, you have a 5th-year option on them. Okay, so if you hit on them, that's a real positive, right? So I don't know. I understand that all these pundits have to burn segments, and it's fun to listen to all the talk and stuff like that. But let me tell you that quantity over quality scares me. I want the quality, right?
Absolutely.
So, and especially if you again, first round pick, you get an extra year to control them contractually.
Yeah,
I'm in the chat on YouTube. I want to. Melvin said, "Where should this good feeling be coming from?" I believe he's talking about Christian Parker.
Oh, the planning.
Yeah.
I mean, just the way he's laying it out to you, the way he's talking football to you. I mean, obviously these guys, through the coaching staff, there's a track record with most of them, but it is the plan being laid out to you in front of your face and there actually being one. Sometimes I just, I just don't know if there's been like a set plan and everybody been
on the same page.
Yeah.
To me is what makes me optimistic about it. Furthermore, we have seen Brian Schottenheimer put together a staff on the offensive side of the ball, last minute, mind you, get some of the best guys in their respective spots, in a Connor Riley on the college level and Clayton Adams on the NFL level, and show you we can be one of the top offenses in the league in 1 year without turnovers or good field position. This is a coach that understands how to build up a side of the ball. Now, I know he's an offensive coach, but the process he went through showed results.
Yeah, and that process and approach, that would be my answer to, is it Marvin?
Melvin.
Melvin, my answer to that would be just the approach, the Joneses, and from the top down.
It's a different approach.
It's different. Trust me, it's different. And being open, and to Aisha's point, what Shotty did with the offensive side of the ball, with them doing that, the defensive side of the ball, that is I know it's 4 coordinators in 4 years, but the previous 3 was through the old approach, bringing in somebody with a lot of experience and, a lot of skins on the wall, but they bring in their own guys and that kind of thing. So is it going to work? I don't know, but it's different, and that's for someone who's old and has been through a lot of this. I'm just telling you, it's different, and don't take my word for it. My friends, the people that I've known for 30 years in football ops and scouting, when they're excited about the process and how these interviews were done, then I trust their judgment. And we all see that it's different.
Yeah, and hell, Shotty even said it yesterday about how the approach with Jerry and Steven, it was a little different in those interviews, asking questions about techniques. He's like, I ain't never heard Jerry talk no techniques before, but he was, and stuff like that. So I thought that was a good note to note from Shotty. So a lot of excitement about what Christian Parker will be bringing, but it starts nailing it in the draft. Well, no, actually, free agency, and then the draft, and then off-season begins. So, going to be a lot of excitement. We'll see if he talks throughout Combine Week. Hopefully he does. And stay tuned to DallasCowboys.com because we will be out there in Indianapolis. So, yeah.
I'm pumped up.
Let's get it.
I was excited watching him.
Yeah.
I know we being chill right now, but I was like, yeah.
Let's go.
You speaking my language, big dog. Yeah.
I can't wait for the off-season programs.
I'm pumped up.
Let's go.
It's going to be fun. All right, that's a wrap for today's episode of Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign. We'll see y'all back here next week. For Christy Scales, Aisha Morrison, I'm Nicole Hutchison. See y'all next week.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.